Join us each Saturday for the Justice is Here podcast, an innovative, revolutionary podcast that speaks to justice for all party members across America. We'll speak to leadership, we'll speak to activists, and most of all, we want to hear your opinion. So if you're tired of the two-party system and how it doesn't work for you, tune into this podcast to learn how we can take back the justice that we deserve. Thank you. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 13th. I believe this is the 13th episode. No, it's the 12th. Next week will be the 13th. This is the 12th episode of the Justice is Here podcast. I am Tracy. Before I let my guest introduce himself, we got a ton of bills to pay, and we're going to start off with visit the Justice for All website at justiceforall.us. That's justiceforall.us. One more time, that website is justiceforall.us. Subscribe. We are at 361 subscribers. Our goal is 1,000. So I'm not going to do math, but I think we're through 639 away from 1,000. That sounds right. It's going to be the right answer today for this discussion. But remember to subscribe. Subscribing literally costs nothing. Remember to support our channel's Team Tracy for Justice for All Party fundraiser. The goal is to raise $25,000. We're making headway, but we're nowhere near close. So you can contribute $1, $2, $3, $4, $5, up to $5,000. Hit that website up and support the Justices Here on TikTok. As soon as I figure out how to do TikTok, we'll be sharing clips there someday, but I still haven't figured it out, but I promise I will. That's on the calendar. Follow the Justices Here podcast on Blue Sky. Follow us on Instagram. And finally, help us to get 50 likes and 35 shares. We need each of you to like this podcast and remember to share it because, as another person says, sharing is caring and caring is getting rid of the two-party system. I am so glad to be joined by my guest who heard my rallying call to have steering committee members to come on this podcast. I'm going to let him introduce himself.
Hi, thanks for having me, Tracy. I feel like I owe you an apology because I'm a latecomer to the podcast. I should have been here months ago, I'm sure. But you're doing a fantastic job. It's a really great way to get to know the other steering committee members because we don't have time for that in the meeting. Of course, we're down to business, but it's been very interesting watching the episodes. So my name's Yasha. I'm on the steering committee. During the campaign, I was the lead organizer for Cornel West in Massachusetts, and I'm organizing the state party here currently.
And everyone watching, please comment. I usually don't have to tell you all are really good. Last week was very good conversation in the comment section, so we're hoping for a repeat. So I always like to take a step back and then bring it forward to the Justice for All party. So we'll start taking a time machine back. Off air, we were talking about how this podcast is actually a spinoff to the last podcast. Congratulations. That was a really long title I had, but the title was Congratulations to the 47th President of the United States, Dr. Cornel West. That spun off into this podcast, Justice is Here. So I always talk to my guests about why it is that they initially supported the West Abdullah ticket.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess my political evolution, that's a long story we can get into if you want. But the short answer is that I found myself in a place where I felt I couldn't in good conscience vote for a Democrat, probably ever again. But honestly, until the party has a complete, reupholstering, it has happened before that the party just completely changes. But unless something like that happens, I no longer felt it represented me. I looked out, what are the options, who's doing stuff, and Dr. West is someone who I had kind of encountered online in various podcasts and stuff, especially because I have an interest in philosophy. So he comes up in that context all the time, of course. And when I heard he was running, I got pretty excited. The thing that drove me kind of away from the Democrats, like at the end of the day, was the Gaza situation. And I'm a Jewish person. It's very personal because they claim it's happening in my name, and so that's a tough thing. And yeah, that's really what was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back as far as my support of the Democratic Party. I mean, during the last two elections, I was a Bernie supporter. The two elections before this one, and so yeah, that was pretty heartbreaking, and gave a lot of insight into how the Democratic Party works, what its priorities are. I think those were only confirmed this election cycle.
See, again, my guests are always kinder than I am. Because when you voted for West, you were really voting for Trump. If I hear that one more time, Democrats, come here. You lost. It's not because she was a woman. It's not because she was black. It's because you ran a terrible, terrible campaign. Stop blaming us for stuff you did. You
100.
did this. You
100%.
chose to give Netanyahu all of this money to basically, commit genocide.
Yeah.
I mean, he's literally talking about exterminating people, and we're supposed to be fine. Well, yeah, sure, let me vote for that. Yep. Don't see why not.
And these are things that he would never have said a year ago, and now they're just saying it. And the people that were a year ago defending it, no, that's ridiculous. That's not going to happen. They've just kept moving with the goalposts. They're defending it in new ways every day. So yeah, it's a very sad situation.
I think what really ticks me off, and I hope I don't go off on rants because I tend to do this, and I say have guests, and I always go off on this rant, but oh well, I might as well be consistent. You wanted me to support, and I don't care if I get her name right because basically I feel like if you kill Gazan children, I literally don't have to get your name right. So I'll just call her Harris to be polite because I can never remember whether it's Kamala or Kamala. I literally don't care because basically you're responsible for exterminating children.
I remember when they gave Butch Ware a hard time for that on The Breakfast Club. That was ridiculous.
Oh, that setup. Anyway, see, I don't even want to go down that aisle because I could stay there for an hour. I'm like, girl, you never won. Well, you haven't either. But they were like, oh, well, no, that's them over there. And now you want to be against genocide? I'll be like that little 13-year-old girl that was on Dr. Phil once. Catch me outside. Because I literally don't even care. Like, I'm supposed to listen to you now. Now that Trump's doing it, it's bad. But when Biden Harris was doing, they're working for peace. I can't tell. I literally can't tell.
Yeah, and what's so frustrating to me is even in this cynical way that the Democrats operate, Kamala had to do so little at the convention, and she could have, in my opinion, she could have had this election. She could have had the undecided, vote. They were begging for her to give them a reason, give them a way to vote for her. They didn't want to vote for Trump. And really, it could have been so little. And what I'm saying about the cynical way, generally, they make a bunch of promises and then they break them. And I'm amazed that Kamala couldn't even do that in terms of Gaza, Palestine.
It's because she's a woman and black. I mean... Well, that's the whole reason right there. I'm like, y'all gonna have to do better than that. Just admit you lost. Look, I supported somebody black, Dr. Cornel West. Let me tell you right now, if Dr. West had pulled off what I would have considered the greatest political upset of all time, I'd have been all on Facebook. Like, what was that? What did you say? I didn't hear anything. I don't hear anything. I just would have been the worst person to deal with.
I mean, I'm going to be perfectly honest. I always had Trump winning after the DNC. Since the DNC, I was like, that was a S show. And after that, I was like, Trump is going to win this thing.
See, I guess I was smoking something because I really thought that people didn't want Biden, they didn't want Harris. So I'm like, yep, they'll just go out here and vote there, and then no, they didn't. It's like, no, they didn't.
But the nice surprise was because I was fully expecting everyone to blame the third parties. But on election day, the results came in, and even if you added up all the third parties, it still wouldn't have made enough of a difference for Kamala to take it. So that was a little treat, I guess.
But they're still blaming us.
Oh, of course.
I mean, not the economy, not immigration, not Gaza, not Ukraine. None of those factors. Me not voting the way you tell me to vote. Yep. It's my fault.
Yeah.
But I did want to vote for me. I voted for Dr. Cornel West t-shirt. I was looking kind of forward to that. But, and again, if the West campaign wasn't effective, why did the Harris administration offer him a cabinet position? I'm just saying, I'm here asking questions. I didn't ask it.
Yeah.
But I really did. We talk when I think about what happened in this election and what's happening now, because I got to go to what's happening now. Of course, we all heard about Project 2025 and what it was going to do. And I kept telling people, I don't have any doubt that people wanted, like the authors of it wanted that to happen. They wanted everything in the project to happen.
Yeah.
My contention was, what are you going to do about it? I still don't hear. Oh my goodness. Sorry. My phone decided to come on. What are you going to do about it? I'm still waiting on Project 2028. I don't see it. I don't even see it from a third party standpoint, which is what I would like to see. Put together a plan.
Well, one thing that was that was interesting, like what Sean Fain of the UAW has called for, which is for all the unions to line up their contracts so that we can effectively do a general strike, I believe in 2028. That was an interesting thing, but you're right. As far as certainly the Democrats have no plan besides we're not the Republicans, even though we keep moving to the right just along with them every single time. So.
Well, I think until and even the Justice for All party has to ask, why did he win? Right? We're talking about a man that literally has 34 felony convictions. He is technically a felon. Now, while I believe in redemption is the storybook of my faith. That's what I believe. That's what I move towards. Reconciliation. I move towards restorative justice. I move towards all of those things. But until we ask ourselves, how did this come to be? Because I think it's several things. Because I don't think every Trump supporter is a racist. Are some of them racist? Sure. Are some Democratic voters racist? Probably yes. Yeah. So I think we have to ask ourselves, why did it happen? Because if we could get to why it happened and why we didn't make a better case of, it's probably not a good idea to follow that type of theory. So I don't know. No. And I'm just thinking out loud here.
Well, I mean, my feeling is that it's, the Democratic Party was at one point the party of working people. I would say probably the last time you could really truly say that was when FDR was president, unfortunately. And since that time, that has eroded more and more. So, the first thing was like the 60s Red Scare, not the first Red Scare by any means, but that certainly eroded any kind of it casts this shade on any leftist, quote unquote. When I talk about issues, I honestly, especially when I'm talking with like a Democrat, I try to avoid the scary words like socialism or communism, because no one really knows what that means. It's easier to just talk about the issues, and then people agree with you a little more. But yeah, there was a concerted effort over the last 50, 60 years to discredit more leftist type of positions, more working class organizing type of strategies that were multicultural. That the union halls were one of the places where the people that kind of grew up with racism could find that that was all lies, by interacting with the people who they were working with. And I think that has largely gone away. Union membership is around 10, 12%. So, yeah, when the Democrats don't have much to offer, almost nothing, honestly, then all that the voters have is their resentment about coastal elites, which is a fair kind of thing to feel resentful of. These are the same Democrats that are telling us that we cost them the vote. We know that they lie about that kind of stuff all the time. They absolutely, the Democratic Party is very technocratic. It's very Ivy League, and they do look down on, regular Americans, I think, certainly at the leadership level. I think a lot of, the Democratic base is ripe for moving left, which is why this is something of an exciting time for us. But yeah, I think that's the reason the Democratic Party has gotten into the quagmire it's in. It's because they didn't just lose the working class; they basically told them, like, go away.
Well, no, there's good billionaires. They exist. I'm like,
Who?
Oh, wait. But we've got comments. The comment section is filling up fast. Usually I don't break this soon for comments, but there's a lot of them out here, so I'm going to get to them. Hello, Michael. Democrats will not change because they have been captured by big corporations and the super wealthy. Absolutely, positively, yes. Kamala Harris said, no, I can't just only for Black people. I'm the president of all people. I think she said that when she was vice president. Rude, by the way, is checking in. Hello. Remember, yes, like, subscribe, share, and comment. Well, look who decided to come into the chat. Hello, Theus. Trump won because people that voted for him and people that didn't vote against him. Pretty simple. Now people want to hide their hands. They're both the same, right? Well, the Democrats and the Republicans are pretty much the same because they get their money from exactly the same place.
But I won't go that far. Like, it's fair to, they're not the same. To me, this is how I frame it. You're on the highway to oblivion, to hell, let's say, and the Democrats are driving in third gear, and the Republicans are going fast and furious, jamming the NOS button, like, let's get there faster and faster. Like, that's the only difference to me. They're going in the same direction.
Yeah, I'm like, but they're going the same direction.
Yeah, they're on the same highway. Yeah. They're going the same direction.
Yeah.
But the Democrats want it to be so slow and smooth that maybe you don't even notice what's happening. That's not good either.
That's a point well taken. Hello, cousin Nelson Cornel West. Wow. I'm going to have to start saying leave Bernie out of this, but y'all not. So I know my audience by now. Cornel West is not a sellout like Bernie Sanders. Dems and a viable third party need to put forth a real governing strategy. The ground is ready for an alternative. I agree with that. This also says every Trump voter is okay with racism. That I agree with, because if you vote for somebody, because then that makes you. I see where you're going. I literally do, but I'm like.
There is self-interest. It's not only white people that voted for Trump. That would make things a lot easier, I suppose.
The majority, Patty, hello, Patty all day, says the majority of Trump voters are racist. Michael adds, Cornel West said, my white brothers and sisters, by saying it, I am not sure if he was serious about fighting for Black Americans. Of course, he said every one of his policies starts on the chocolate side of town. I cannot tell what I can't tell what Cornel is serious about at all. I think we're going to talk about that because I keep hearing that. I'm like, okay, unless I'm missing something, I don't think I'm an apologist, but I'll
I
get to
don't
that.
think I've ever heard him not be serious. I don't know what that's about, but I do have thoughts on Bernie if we want to go into that.
Oh,
I'm not as fatalistic as you are. I've seen a few of them. To me, here's the thing: like in organizing, especially from the experience that I had like this summer, which was very difficult. You had the same experience trying to gather signatures.
oh, wait a minute. You told my gather see? Oh, Lordy.
Yeah.
Oh, they made me grab all my Christianity. I was like, look, please don't let me go off on these people. Don't.
Yeah.
I'm trying.
Yeah, but
Lord. I'm trying.
yeah. So the thing is, like, when you're trying to nudge people, open up their minds a little bit to new ideas, you do unfortunately have to meet them where they are, right? That's the saying: meet people where they are. So, like, if someone is like for example, like someone is a kind of normie Democrat, considers themselves a feminist, so they're very into Hillary and Kamala because they're a feminist, but they don't like the immigration stuff and such and such. So then I would hone in. I wouldn't approach their love of Kamala and Hillary first because that's deep. That goes deep for them. I can understand that. I start by pulling on a thread on that immigration issue and tying that to capitalism and tying that to the systematic injustices that we are always dealing with, and that opens everything up. That starts to unravel stuff, and because in my opinion, like it's almost impossible to convince anyone of anything political. The best you can do is they start feeling something. They feel something's wrong, and you can be there to help orient them in the right direction so that they're understanding actually what is wrong and who is responsible for it, which is why I won't rag on Bernie too much. And even like these protests that are happening, yeah, they're a little vacuous, but they're also an opportunity to talk to a lot of people and start having those conversations.
See, I'm going to totally disagree with you.
Okay.
I think the protests are just a way to cater people back into the Democratic Party. I don't see, and maybe this is just me, just I got my blinders on. I can't imagine if you're going to go to this Bernie AOC protest, you probably did not vote for Trump. That probably wasn't your vote in the first place. You're not going. I don't see Trump supporters going to this type of rally.
No.
Right? I don't hear them saying, although Bernie said run as an independent, and I'm like, do you mean you a capitulating independent, or do you mean like a real independent? Because there's a difference for me. I felt like this tour is just a way to get people back in the Democratic Party. Could I be wrong? Sure.
No, you're right. You're right. I won't disagree with that. What I'm saying is, for people like us, we still go to that, and there are a lot of people there that like this is the first time they're really paying attention to politics at this level. They've never gone to a march. They've never felt it was their responsibility to protest anything. And for someone like that who's just paying attention for the first time, like, the Democratic narrative is not that hard to break down. Like you said, they get their money from the same people pretty much, so I think there's opportunities to move people left because they are showing that energy. They are bringing the energy. It's still tied to the Democratic Party. There is a project, like you're saying, but it's still an opportunity.
Yeah, I'm not knocking the people that are going. That's not what I'm doing. I'm saying the goal is, get them back in the Democratic Party, when Bernie himself has said this party should stop taking corporate money. Like if he stuck to Bernie 2016 and he was saying that now, I'm like, I'm in. Like if you become the Joe Manchin, like the new Joe Manchin in the Senate, and 100. Stop voting for Marco Rubio and confirming him, and stop voting against your own interests, I'm in. But the thing that concerns me, and I said this last week on my podcast, when people went to these hands-off protests, yes, you went to the protests, great, but what's the next step, right? What you gonna do tomorrow. Like, you
Right.
feel good going, and trust me, I'm down for a good protest. Tell me the issue. I mean, it's got to be something I'm passionate about, but I want to know, hey, what am I doing 3 weeks from now?
Right, you're right. And it does act as like a bit of a pressure release valve in that way where people feel like they're doing more than they actually are. I mean, in general, I'm right there with you. Like any protest where like the state senator speaks and you scheduled it a month in advance and the cops tell you which streets you're going to march down, like that's not a protest.
Right. You're just you're at a rally. And
You're at a rally.
again, those things. Okay, I got a question. Somebody's asking me something here, and I got to address this. The protests are far wider than Dems. Okay, please prove it, because I literally don't see it. Maybe again, I started this conversation saying I couldn't see it. I'm just telling you my impressions. I bet most of these people aren't fans anyway. And while so, all of a sudden, Bernie is the enemy because
Can
he
I start on that
capitulated.
and then you'll take it further because you're going to
Yes,
take it further.
Fickle friends, who's good enough for you?
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you take it because I
All
want
right.
to. Because I definitely want to get in on this one.
I mean, here's the reason that Bernie disappointed us so much. It's because he first he kind of capitulated in his presidential runs. He got kneecaps. There was a concerted strategy of all the other Democrats dropping out. That was in the second one, of the super delegates going one way in the first one. Like, so there was this concerted effort to get rid of him, and he could have run as an independent after that, and he would have gotten a lot of votes. And he was afraid of being a spoiler, and that's fine. Okay. But what he didn't have to do was then kind of become part of Joe Biden's cabinet and defend him in almost everything he did. Defend his competency for 2 years when everyone who was watching could see that he was gone, and honestly for longer than 2 years. But Bernie was in lockstep with the Democratic program for those last 2 years. He didn't come out any earlier than anyone else to say it's time for Biden to step aside. So I don't know, that's what really made us mad about Bernie. And I think he could still be a comrade. That's what I'm saying. Like, there is still opportunity there, but that's why he disappointed us.
Okay, so now I'm going to pick it up. First of all, everything you said, and in addition, is he ever going to call what Israel's doing a genocide? Why do you walk out of interviews when people specifically say, why don't you call it a genocide? That is what Israel is doing to Palestine. It's a genocide. Pure, simple. He uses it, the murder of children. No, stop. I don't even know if he's for peace, because I thought he was a peace activist. And I'm like, dude, no. You're for peace when it's convenient. He voted for the Iraq war. Let's not forget that. Please, people, don't forget that he did vote for the Iraq war. So this man is not a person of peace per se. Everything you said, when Joe Biden said, I'm running again, it didn't take him a month. He endorsed so quickly and clearly knew we're going to lose. I think another thing is he definitely capitulates to wherever the Democratic Party wants. You're telling me that a man that's supposedly against war is going to tell me to vote for an administration that's killing Gazan children? I'm supposed to believe you? I'm supposed to believe you? No. So for me to answer this question, who's good enough for me? I'm going to say Dr. Cornel West and Dr. Melina Abdullah. I'll even throw Jill Stein in there. I'll throw Claudia De La Cruz in there. Yeah. I can throw a lot of names in there. I mean,
and Bernie is still good enough for me. If you can make him the president, please do that. But what are we talking about?
Yeah, I mean, if he was president, would we see federal jobs going away? Probably not. But Tobias, your T-shirt is on the way. It was a rich scam, you guys, that Bernie ran. I was fooled. Me too. Bruh, you're not even talking. And I think that's, most of us, justice for all, justice, I was going to say justice for here support. Talking about the podcast and meaning the party.
I mean, Tobias, I'm a very cynical person, but like Bernie has been saying the same thing for 40 years. I don't think he was in on the whole thing, like you're kind of implying there, you know.
Okay, so now I'm gonna get really angry now. Please, you're making me angry here. Please spare us all the fake concern for Gaza. I'm always concerned because of justice anywhere is injustice everywhere. How do you how does your position help Gaza from bad to worse?
I mean, you know, how does it help Gaza? Like, all we can do in America is bear witness and come out and say every day, this is a genocide, this is wrong. Like, you know, I'm not
Yes,
a decision maker. I don't know how I could have directly, you know, helped, but I'm doing what I can. That's all there
I
is.
can say how I can help. I don't vote for people that say, "Yeah, we should do everything we can to help Israel."
Yeah.
No, that's something I can do. Now, sure, I'm not a decision maker. I'm not out here giving money or not giving money, but I'm like, well, okay, I could not vote for you. I could, I could. I feel that same way about Congo, right? We should. There's a genocide America is created in the Congo that we never ever talk about, and it frustrates me. But what can I do besides say, hey, this is wrong. Our money needs to stop supporting this.
And I'll also say, like, there are people that are doing more. There are people like the people in San Francisco that were keeping the ship in the Bay Area for an extra week. Like, maybe that's not a lot, but that is a lot of money. Actually, that is a lot of kind of logistics that they're messing up. And I have all the respect in the world for those people. I think that kind of thing, if you want to do protest, like we should get away from protest and into disruption. That's a disruption. If you close down the Golden Gate Bridge, that's a disruption that like affects the economy of the city for a day. That's not calling up the police and saying, "Hey, can we have a group out in Central Park or whatever it is?" So yeah, I'm not saying that I can do more, but this is the party organization. That's the route I've chosen. That's where I think you know and it's it's also something that I enjoy and I'm learning a lot from. Like we have learned so much about the actual nuts and bolts of democracy and how impossible it is to be a third party in America, and that's all important stuff. So.
I'm so glad you brought that up because and I've asked this question, I asked it of Dr. West, who has appeared on my podcast 3 times. Not to brag, but I'm going to anyway.
So Joe,
I'm gonna brag anyway. But I keep asking this question, and I don't know if there's an answer to it. What is it gonna take for people? Like when I talk to people, they always tell me, "Oh, well, both sides are crooks," meaning the Democrats and Republicans. I'm like, "That's true." And then, of course, Tracy being Tracy says, "Well, why don't you just vote third party?" Well, they can't win. And I'm like, well, they could win if you voted for them.
well, like
It
I
feels like
said,
I'm missing something. It's like I'm missing something. Because if people are telling me, hey, these two sides are crooked and they're dishonest and they both support wars and they send our money to foreign countries, okay, here's a third option. And now you're telling me that the third option, I can't vote for them because they can't win. That's where
yeah.
um
I mean, here's the thing. I never, and I worked my ass off for to get
you
Cornel
mean your
West as
butt
many.
off?
I'm so sorry. I worked my butt off. To get Cornel West as many votes as possible. But no, I never thought that he could actually win. What I think is the third party, if it grows big enough, can have the effect that you were talking about, that Joe Manchin effect. They can be the deciding vote on certain issues. Of course, they would likely most often caucus with the Democrats, but they would get concessions. They would get the Democratic Party to listen to some of these issues because if you haven't noticed, every step the Democrats have taken for the last like 16 years has been to the right. Every step. And if you want to stop that, you need to change something. Here's the other thing. Like I said, where do you organize? Where do you talk to people at all about this stuff? It's only in unions and political parties. So that's what we're doing here. We're meeting, fellow travelers, like-minded people. We're discussing strategy. We're growing that base. And I don't think it's all going to be for nothing. But even if it you know, worst case scenario, I can sleep at night with the things that I'm doing. So
I wish I could get that in my head because I'm just like, okay, you're complaining about it. I'm giving you Dr. Cornel West to vote for. You say you agree with his issues, but you can't vote. I'm just like, okay, I hear what I'm hearing what they're saying, but what they're saying, I guess, doesn't make sense to me because I'm like, if you just vote for who was going to win, we just would have all voted for Trump because he actually did end up winning.
right.
Well, there was no way. There was no way in this entire world I was going to vote for Donald Trump. It wasn't going to happen. But
yeah, and that argument, that lesser of two evils argument, they trot out every time. Like, okay, if you're gonna, you know, sell off parts of your credibility, you got to get something in return. Like, what did Bernie get in return? Absolutely nothing. So that's the problem, you know.
And I think that's my criticism of the wait a minute. Now Thea says nearly everything Yasa has said you heard from me yet. Perhaps you'll hear him. I think what I'm saying is I don't understand. There's a lot of things that I don't get in my head because if you're saying like when I voted for Dr. West, and when I said, hey, I'm going to get out here and I'm going to get petitions and I'm going to do everything that I can, it wasn't just because he's Cornel West. It was the platform that he had that I thought this is probably the best platform that I've ever read in my entire life in terms of politics.
Incredible.
I mean, I literally read it and I'm like, there's nothing that I disagree with. And when I would talk to people about just the platform, oh, it won't happen. And it can't happen. I don't know if that's because people have stopped, like the system is so bad that people have stopped believing. And then what I want you to talk about is because now we're going to switch over and talk about Justice for All Party. It's like, what can we do to change that? Because I think when we say things like $27 an hour minimum, $27 living wage with considerations for those that live in higher cost areas, people are like, oh, well, it can't happen. Eliminating homelessness. I didn't hear the Green Party talk about it. I didn't hear the PSL talk about it. I certainly didn't hear the Democrats talk about eliminating homelessness.
So to me, like the other left parties, I have no problem with. They're just fine. To me, honestly, like I think the platforms are pretty similar. What's different is where you focus in. So I think for the Greens, they focus on the environmental part. For PSL, I suppose as like the classical Marxist party, they focus on the workers' aspect of it. And for us, it's you know, it starts with racial justice. It starts with police reform. It starts with those kinds of things, and they're all important, and they appeal, like they're all avenues into the big group. So like, yeah, I have nothing bad to say about the other parties.
I'm not saying something bad, but I'm just saying I didn't hear the Green Party come out. It's like, we want it. I'm sure they're for eliminating homelessness.
I can't say that I did either, but I'm sure they want to do
I'm just saying that was something that eliminating homelessness. As a person that was homeless, when I heard it, I'm like, I've never heard a candidate say that. Yeah. I literally have never heard a candidate for president of the United States say, I want to eliminate homelessness.
Mm-hmm.
And like actually mean it.
Yeah.
And that's what stuck out for me. But that's me as a voter. But I get what you're saying. I don't want to say, oh, the Green Party is terrible. I don't want to give that.
I didn't say you were saying that either. And I mean, I don't know if Bernie was saying it in so many words when he was running, but certainly the message of like, we're the richest country in the history of the world. Everyone's heard that a million times at this point. Like, it must have sunk in for everybody. And it's not that hard to recognize that in the richest country in the history of the world, there shouldn't be homelessness. It's like such a low bar to clear. So you have to like just I don't know. You have to tear through this facade of like what's possible that people have like
Yeah,
just.
and I like I said, I want to be such a better communicator because I think that's where I lack at. I know how I feel about things, but it's hard for me to say in pragmatic terms. Like people like, well, how's that's going to happen? Well, you get people elected. Well, how they going to get elected? And then you get into all those things. But of course, I said we were going to switch over the conversation to the Justice um, for All party. Um, and I want to hit on what Nelson said. We need to get behind and involved with the Truth and Justice Party agenda to get things prepped for 26 and 28. I think I said this at the meeting. I'm like, it's like almost here. 2026 is like almost here. And I can't, we were just literally talking about like me on election day, and it seems like that was so long ago, but I'm like, 2026 is almost here.
Yeah, I heard you're running for governor.
See, now what we gonna not do is me
I'm
run for
sorry.
office. Cause see, we not gonna do this. we now it's bad enough. Rue, by the way, does this every week.
Mhm.
I know there are far more talented people than me that need to be running for office.
But you're absolutely right. Like there is urgency, and I don't know how the thing is. It's so different in every state. The Justice for All Party is going to be a bunch of state parties that send delegates to national convention, and there's different laws in each state. Like in Massachusetts, it's actually important that we get our political designation status this year in 2025. But the hill isn't that hard to climb for that status, which is much lower than party status, which is very difficult. But yeah, I mean, that urgency is definitely there. I think people are moving, but we need all the help we can get. Chat.
Yes, I think that's it because, like I said, I will have a huge, super huge, super huge announcement. I'm not going to do it today. I'm going to do it tomorrow on my Tracy's Weekend Review show, but it's going to affect Justice for All Party and other third parties. So tune in. It's exciting news. I think I can pull this off and do that. But I feel very passionate about not voting for Democrats. I think I've voted for literally in my entire voting life. I've only voted for 2 Republicans, I think. One for mayor and one was Richard Lugar, and that was for Senate. Those are only 2 times I've ever voted for a Republican.
Mm-hmm.
Democrats, the way that I feel now, and I'll make this a question here at the end. I don't care if you're running for dog scratcher, kitty cat scrubber, house cleaner. I don't care what office that you're running for. If you run as a Democrat, 9 times out of 10, I'm not going to vote for you. It's just going to be a no for me because I feel so like blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
I say this again. I don't like being played. And I feel like and I say this every week. I want MAGA people to listen to me because I know y'all watch the show too. MAGA, Trump is playing in your face. He's literally playing in your face. He's saying, oh, I want to protect Social Security, and yet there's a bill in Congress that's going to cut Social Security. He's playing in your face. Stop voting for that idiocy. Democrats, Biden, Harris, because they were the last Democrats in office, they played in your face. They kept saying they were working for peace. They were not. They gave more and more money for wars. They playing in your face. Stop letting them play in your face. That's going to be my rant.
That's fair. That's perfectly fair. Well, I want to, so like someone said earlier, it's the how and not the why, not the platform. Like, so Dr. West did talk about that a bunch. He talked about that in victory, of course, he would face institutional resistance from both parties in Congress, in the House,
All the
in the court.
lawsuits. I mean, it still would be in the courts
Yeah.
today.
So he talked about what was possible to achieve with executive orders, which is, as you can see from the Trump
I know,
administration,
right?
you
You
can
see,
kind of do a lot.
yeah,
You
you
can
can,
push the destroy the
yeah. I'm
economy
like,
button if you
you
want
can
to, apparently.
literally, that's the one semi-positive thing people
Right,
have
that we
always said.
learned.
Well, the president needs Congress. No, Trump's proving that wrong. You really don't need
Right,
Congress to pull off, especially when you have a complicit Congress.
right.
Oh, when they just sit there and do nothing, president do whatever he want to do, or she. Well, we don't have a female president, but they can do whatever it is they want to do.
Yeah. Yeah, but I lost my train of thought. Sorry.
No, that's okay. And I probably took it away from you going on one of my tangents. But I think that's something that we need to examine.
Oh, I found it. I found it.
Go, you
So
found it. Go
the
ahead.
other thing he was talking about was that this grassroots movement, right? And not one thing, not tearing that apart, which I'll come back to shortly, but growing it and continue to grow it, and that there is, like, when you ask people to talk about, if you just ask them on the issues, Medicare for all, like, vast majority of Americans across Republican, Democrat support that. Sensible gun restrictions, sensible ones. Those kinds of issues, if you break it down by the issue, there are a lot of issues that people broadly agree with. And if you can harness that energy and say, this is the mandate, everyone actually supports this, then you can possibly push it through the resistance of Congress and the House. And the reason I was going to say, like, coming back to not breaking apart that grassroots effort, is because that's what Obama had when he got elected. I campaigned for Obama. I was in college at the time. I was studying Pittsburgh. And
Make me feel old.
Sorry.
Because I was like a full-grown woman in my 30s. Yep, I was in my 30s. Oh, gosh. Go ahead.
That's young. That's still young. And we really felt like we accomplished something. Like, we were full of hope.
Remember when they showed that Israeli and that Palestinian hugging each other? We was like, yes, stuff is getting great change now.
Right. And the message was, hey, we did it, guys. Go home. Focus on yourself. Get into meditation. Go be consumers. Don't worry about politics. I got this now. The adults are in the room. We're in charge. And that was a very cynical thing to do. And I think it's much more clear to me now why that happens. And unfortunately, that was a reason that I and a lot of people did not pay attention to politics nearly as much as we should have been during the Obama years. And that's why a lot of people now find themselves asking these questions of, like, what went wrong? What happened to the Democratic Party? You got to look at those administrations. Obama, made a lot of bad decisions. Clinton, even more so. I mean, it definitely, Clinton, NAFTA, crime bill, like, tons of stuff you can get into. So, yeah, I mean, the soul searching, if they did legitimate soul searching, there's plenty to find. It's just they always come back to the same conclusions. These particular voters were the reason we lost, or our messaging is no good every time. That's your answer.
There's good billionaires.
I don't know about that.
No, I'm just saying that's one.
Okay.
Yeah, right. I was like, no, there's good billionaires. There really are. Oh, okay. But I think this is, and I never, for the audience out there, y'all know, Yasa is a steering committee member, and I'm there as an observer. So I'm just kind of there to watch and just keep saying, hey, 2026 is coming. 2026 is coming. Like, I'm that boy that's crying wolf, but there actually is a wolf. See, when I'm crying it, there actually is a wolf, right? There's a wolf called the duopoly, and we got to tear it down, which is why my announcement tomorrow is going to be so impactful. But I want you to talk about what made you get on the steering committee. Like, what was it that you said, I've got to be a part of forming this new party?
Yeah, I mean, I think my work during the campaign, even though we didn't do all the things that we wanted to do, of course, we didn't accomplish everything we wanted to accomplish. It was a major step in the right direction. Like, I have, connected to so many people. I've learned how to talk to people that have similar beliefs, but not exactly the same beliefs. I've learned how to talk to people that have the polar opposite beliefs and try to find some point that we can agree on. Like, there's a lot that you get out of doing political organizing. I think it's exciting to be part of something on the ground floor too. That's a very exciting prospect to me. And like I said, I have nothing bad to say about the other parties, but there is that feeling of, one, like, there is no hierarchy here. Like, it's completely flat when we're on the steering committee. You know, Dr. Weston and Dr. Abdullah, like, they haven't told us to do anything. They have, like, barely been in a meeting. Like, it's all us, and that's honestly the way it should be. That's been great. So, you know, there is this kind of element of, we all get to be big fish in a small pond for a while, and hopefully that pond grows a lot. But as opposed to kind of being lost in the mix of even the Green Party, much less the Democratic Party, which, you know, for all kinds of other reasons, never again. But, you know, the Green Party still, like, you know, probably you could get to talk to Jill Stein at a $20,000, you know, fundraiser, a plate. But as opposed to us, like, I've had, you know, conversations with Dr. West on the line. I've asked him questions. It's fantastic.
Yep. And for those of you that are unfamiliar with the Justice for All, I always plug this website, justiceforall.us, justiceforall.us. One more time for good measure, justiceforall.us. And here's what I want to say, because here's one that I got to go to this comment because I can't find it, but somebody smart aleckly put Tracy for governor. Let me tell you something about a black governor in the state of Indiana. See, I live in Indiana. I would say our state, we're not ready. We're not ready for my type of politics. Does that mean I'm not going to talk about my type of politics? No, I'm going to go to the mat for what I believe. But in terms of electability, we're the Texas of the North, basically. I can find the comment. Somebody was like, Tracy for Congress. Rue, by the way, you already know. I've already told you.
I think 12 people said that. Everyone's saying it.
Yeah, right. Tracy for governor, or at least Senate. Okay, Senate, to be honest, is in the back of my mind. But we got 6 years to go. So I would be 57 years old.
There's no upper limit, I'm almost sure.
Yeah, I'd be 57. Tracy for Congress, not in District 7, because I already told you we got a congressperson. He has literally won 80%. Like, he never gets under 80% support. Never, ever, ever. What I wanted to talk about next is something. You already answered my question. I was going to say, well, why not work with the Green Party? And I think we said this last week. I'm in full support of Butch Ware's run for governor in California. If I lived in California, I mean, I even plan on donating money to the campaign. I haven't yet, but I plan on to. Because I think for me, as long as you're not team Democrats can do no wrong, or Republicans can do no wrong, and you see what both parties are playing, we're family. Like we're on the same team.
Absolutely.
Now, and maybe you get them from the left and I get them from the right. But I just wanted to say that because, again, I don't want us to you just hate the Green Party.
I respect what the Green Party's done. They have ballot access in a lot of places.
Yep, they got a whole lot. They have 48 states?
Yeah, something like that.
That's tremendous. You know, we're going to get there, but, you know, it doesn't mean that we don't support anything they say. And I don't want people to think that.
I support almost everything they say. Like I said, it's just a different focus. It's what you...
Right. It's what we focus on.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. And I think that's where I'm getting to next is when we talk about, and I've never asked anybody this question, what state are you in?
Massachusetts.
Okay, so you're in an easy state. So to be a third party in your state,
I can tell you the exactly the hill to climb to get party status. It's
yeah, I
not
bet
that
it's way
easy.
easier. I bet it's easier than Indiana.
Right. Well, the Green Party does not have party status in Massachusetts. So it's pretty hard. So, but to get to political designation, which is like one step down, there's only two steps on that ladder: political designation and full party status. And for political designation, all you need is 50 people to say they want to be part of this party. So I think we're going to reach that pretty quickly once we've fully, organized, because we have to do all the same things that we're doing on the steering committee at every state level. We have to make kind of like a de facto steering committee per state, do a chart, make a charter, make bylaws, write up the rules, and then start, gathering, building the base. But yeah, so that first step is 50 people join the party. To get full party status, you have to run someone. There's two ways to do it. Actually, there's only one way, but there's two outcomes that will do it. So you have to run someone for statewide office, and there's only like 6 to 8 of those. It's the two senators, governor, lieutenant governor, auditor, which is like
Oh, because you all
comptroller,
do yours separately. Yeah, that's right. I keep
yeah,
forgetting that part.
and maybe one or two others. But so, and in that election, you have to get 3% of the statewide vote. That's one way. Or, oh yeah, and the other way, it doesn't have to do with election. The other way is that you get 1% of all registered voters to say that they're going to join the party. So that's a tough hill to climb. Green Party doesn't have that. The only three parties are Democrat, Republican, and
Libertarian.
Libertarian in Massachusetts. Yeah.
Now, what about ballot access? Because I guarantee it's harder to get ballot access in Indiana. Indiana's one of the most
I'm sure.
difficult states.
It was 10,000 signatures was our
If
goal.
I could have gotten 10,000, I'd have been so much happier.
We didn't come close. We didn't come
now,
close.
to be a political party in Indiana, I believe, and I could be wrong about this, if you do a fundraiser and you raise $200, that makes you a political party in Indiana.
Wow.
There's that's the easy part, right? Mm-hmm. You think, oh, anybody could just raise 200, get group P. Yeah, okay. But ballot access is where they get you. Because what we have to hope for is a low voter turnout, which we want the opposite. We want people to be engaged, right? We want people to come out and vote. Mm-hmm. But we have to get 2% of what the Secretary of State office has. Mm-hmm. And for this time, it was 37,693 signatures we had to get. We didn't come nowhere near close to that. Nowhere near close.
Yeah.
So I wish there was more conformity, but every state does different. I'm like, there's 3 difficult states to me. There's California because of their population size.
Yeah.
There's Texas, which has the most. I'm like, I think Texas has got us beat because they can't even. They have to get signatures from people that didn't vote in the primary. I'm like, oh, y'all just really. And New York is like those. New York, Texas, and Indiana are like the 3 most difficult.
Well, it's one of the things that the Democrats and Republicans can agree on the most, I think, is trying to keep other parties out of contention. So, yeah, it's not surprising that that's how it works. But I think there are little avenues into talking about that with people. For example, I think ranked choice voting is an issue that a lot of people in Massachusetts are for that. They would vote for that in a statewide election. And like, how does that's, if you change the rules around ranked choice voting, that's an opportunity to have a conversation on the qualifications for third parties and possibly change those rules because they're kind of connected. So yeah, I think we have to be strategic, but I think there are ways to lower the barriers and alert people to the issues and have a lot of good conversations at the same time. I mean, I'm here being optimistic. I'm not this optimistic every day, not in my own head, but this is what we're doing. This is the work.
You have to be, right? Because if we just give up, look what we're leaving on the table. we're just like, okay, just run over us. And that, I think that's what keeps me going. Days is just like, you know what? I'm tired of trying. I'm tired of telling people they playing in your face. I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm tired.
Yeah.
But then if I just shut up, stop, and retreat, then what happens? Well,
Nothing.
nothing. Because I'm not doing anything. I'm like, no. So me, it's like, yep, I gotta keep going. So yeah, we got some more comments. They just keep coming in. Thank you guys. Tracy okay, so you don't know this. Andre Carson is my representative.
Oh, right. I did hear that in previous episodes. That's the guy that never gets less than 80% or whatever.
Every single time. I have never seen him get anything less than 80% of the vote. Never. Never, ever. Now, I'm up for a good fight, but I'm not one for, that would put me in a losing position. And for me, I want to put myself in a winning position. Right? I want to put myself, if I'm just going to get out there and run, because y'all know I do have mouth issues. I do have a smart mouth. I try not to have a smart mouth, but I have a smart mouth. And it would take a campaign manager to just really rein me in. And since I'm not going to be reined in, it's going to be hard.
Well, since you brought that up, I mean, that's another thing that brought me to Dr. West's campaign, because like I was very angry. I think justifiably so. A lot of us are angry. But like, it was hard to hold it in, and when I saw that Dr. West, like, he's right there with me on all the issues. He's just as passionate about it. But then he would go on C-SPAN and like take calls from listeners, and someone would give him like practically death threats, and he would still be like, "Oh, my brother, like, don't you see what they're doing to you?" It was incredible the way that just he always leads with love. So.
I would see I ain't all the way saved. See, I'm not. I try. I'm just not that. I'm not where Dr. West is. Because see, I'm going back at you. I'm like, then this is my address. You want to make something out? See, I know me, and I know my mouth. They don't. It's not always. It's not always that holy and pure and right.
Yeah.
I wish it were, but it's not. But yeah, he does a way. The attacks that he got.
Did that happen? He debated Candace Owens?
He actually did debate her.
Wow.
He looked at her like, what are you talking?
Wow. I gotta find that.
I mean, the way forward is for us not to shut up, right? We're not in a position, and I think for me, I'm like, okay, when it's convention, let's get our nominees out there. Let's get out there. Let's swing in these streets. Because if I'm going to go down, Rue, by the way, and everybody else that says I should run for office, I'm going down swinging, period, point, and blank. And I think we're at a time that's so unique, right? You have Democratic voters mad at the Democrats, and you have MAGA people that are mad at MAGA representatives.
Yeah.
I have never seen a time like this, and what I don't want to see is us wasted. That's what I don't want to see.
Absolutely.
Oh, you didn't have any other things to say? I'm like
you said it perfectly. Like, what is there to add? I mean, yeah, I've been talking about this is an opportunity. It's a bleak opportunity. It's sad that this is,
it had to come down to this, right?
Right, but it is an opportunity, and we do have to make the most of it. So you're trying, I'm trying. Yeah, join us, everybody.
And that's another thing I want to say to everybody that's watching, has been commenting. We're just people. Are we gonna always sing together? And we're not always gonna sing the same song, right? I may like punk music. Yasha may like R&B. Although I think that's kind of opposite, but I'm just throwing out examples.
No, I'm more R&B than punk, but no, I'm not an R&B.
But I think at our core, what we want to see is people being successful. We aren't in this to get rich. Trust us, none of us are getting rich. That's why we're asking people to donate to the Team Tracy for Justice for All party because we don't have publicly financed elections, right? We don't get to, until we get there. We got to do something, right? We're not asking you to give like everything you have. No, $5 will go a very, very, very long way. $5 will absolutely go a long way. And I've been making this $5 challenge ever since this podcast came on. Because I don't want to say it's a necessary evil, but it's what makes things move. It's what makes organizations move, right? You can say, well, what about mutual aid? It still takes money. I don't want to be the, Debbie the Downer here, but that's what it takes, right? So consider making a donation. That's my plea. But I wanted to talk lastly about, and I know we kind of stepped away from this, but you know what? If you can't donate, and this is another thing I was going to say, if you can't donate money, save for it. You could save 50 cents every single week for, let's see, you could save 50 cents for 10 weeks. If you save 50 cents for 10 weeks and donate a one-time $5 gift, I guarantee it's going to make a difference.
Likes and shares are free.
Exactly. That's another thing. Likes and shares are absolutely free. There's lots of things you can't do, but you can save 50 cents over 10 weeks. Trust me, I do it I do it a lot. I do it a lot. It doesn't take a lot because we can't be bought off by the special interests. That's the Democrats and Republicans. That's the game that they're playing. They literally are telling their voters to their face, primary, what's a primary?
Yeah.
We'll just see you out there to vote, but it's us who decides who gets to be the nominee. I don't think the Democrats have had a primary in, wait a minute now. Yeah, when is the last time the Democrats had a primary? Was it 2016?
No, they had one in 20.
They did?
They
that's the year that Pete Buttigieg was in first place and he dropped out the race because Obama told him to.
I don't know. I mean, Bernie came out of Iowa in the lead, and there was like 7 candidates or so that dropped out on the same day and all endorsed Biden. That's how it went.
Yeah, but Pete Buttigieg at worst,
he was one of them.
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe
because Buttigieg at worst, the worst you could say about him was he was in like the top 3.
Yeah.
It was him and Bernie, basically. Him and Bernie were just kind of like
Biden. Warren was kind of in the mix.
No, Biden was like 5th place.
Yeah.
Biden wasn't even. Right. Biden didn't catch fire till South Carolina.
Yeah, and it's interesting because like all these candidates kind of took a bunch of those candidates took a very Bernie-like platform. Like they kind of cribbed notes from Bernie on some of this stuff.
Remember Harris?
Buttigieg did.
She was for Medicare for all, and then
Harris, exactly. Yep.
Yeah, I was like, girl, you ain't never said. They didn't say it, not no more. Right.
And then they all collapsed into a very generic old white man with the same platform as before. How'd that happen?
Not money, but guaranteed you can save. I get it, Tobias. I'm in customer service. I work at a call center. So guarantee I can save 50 cents over a 10-week period. Make it $5.
But I think you're right. Like the Democratic Party, as you rise through the ranks, it's, just ask yourself, where do these candidates come from? Because they don't just appear out of thin air. They're not like, they come through this machine where they're, even if they start out kind of doe-eyed and thinking that they're going to do a lot of good and make a lot of change, very quickly they realize how things actually work, that like 60% of their time is spent on the phone, like fundraising, usually with billionaires, lobbyists, and that's how it goes. If you want to succeed in the party, that's what you do. So, anyone that is like truly to their core trying to make a difference, I don't see how you can stay in the Democratic or Republican Party.
People have been telling me this. You got to fix it because I believe that you can fix it from the inside. No, I used to believe that, right? Because I'd be like, well, you can't be outside criticizing. You should get in. No, you can't. Because if you don't want to, if we're in a relationship, not me and Yasa, because I'm sure Yasa is booed up. But I'm just saying, I'm just going to use this as an example. He keeps telling me, Tracy, color your hair. I'm just going to use something. And I keep saying, no, 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 no. It's like, I will leave you. I got two options. I can, one, color my hair, or I can say, fool, there's a door, don't let it hit you where it's, don't let it hit you where the sun don't shine. Those are the two options I have, right? Yeah. You can either stay with these parties and let them play in your face because that is what they're doing. Or you can say, you know what? I'm going to take me and my vote and do something different with it. It's up to you.
Yeah, and even the people that everyone in chat points to as like, oh, why not Bernie? Bernie's not, he always caucuses with the Democrats, but the Democratic Party would have been incapable of generating a Bernie Sanders. She had to come as an independent. And even AOC, I mean, she, in her first campaign, if she didn't run as a Green Party candidate, everyone in her campaign staff were like from the Green Party.
So, and yes, she slammed Jill Stein. I'm like, y'all going after Jill Stein, really? Yeah. You raised $2 billion. I mean, you got money, have a 50 step. See, I can say so many things. I'm like, y'all had two. Let me tell you something. If Dr. West, who didn't even raise $2 million, he didn't even get to anywhere close to where the Harris campaign was. If Dr. West had gotten $5 million, I'm just going to random. You know how many states we could have been on?
For sure.
You know what I mean? I was
like, the amount of money the Democrats spent suing us is hundreds of times more than we ever raised. We still won most of those lawsuits, but
I'm like, ridiculous. If we had $5 million, we could have been on 30 states. Well, we got on 26, but some of those were write-in states. I mean, like on the ballot. Like have Dr. West and Dr. Abdullah on the ballot. Be like, ooh, I get to vote for them. Punch. I had to get my butt up and write his name in and then walk right home. That's what I did. Because I was going to write his name in regardless of whether he was on the ballot. Even if he had dropped out, I still was going to write his name in.
Yeah.
Because that's how I was. But
no, same here. I just didn't have to go in. We have mail-in, at least in Massachusetts.
See, that's another thing. We don't have mail-in. I had to stand in line 3 hours. 3 hours. I stood in line 3 whole long-winded hours. 3 hours.
That's voter suppression. I mean, everyone can see that. Like, it's, yeah.
I mean, it's just like, we're going to be all right. And you know why? It's because people are fighting.
Yeah.
And we're going to fight whether you like it or not. And I tell people, I want to tell people this all the time. I'm not fighting just for me, right? I'm fighting for you.
Yeah.
I'm fighting because you deserve better.
Absolutely.
And I'm gonna keep screaming till we all get Medicare for all. I'm gonna keep screaming till we get a living wage. I'm gonna keep screaming till we eliminate homelessness. I don't care about the deficit. I literally don't care. I give 2 cents of a cares about the deficit. I don't care. Let it run amok.
Yeah, and same here. And Gaza, always Gaza. And I'm a naturalized citizen, so they've already been talking about the ability to deport us. If you can deport, the dream, it should be obvious to everyone by now. The dream is to deport anyone, including citizens, that doesn't agree with you. That's what they're going for, and that is what they'll get to. But even if not,
now wait a minute, hold on, backtrack. When you say
naturalized means I wasn't born in
this country. Born in the United States, okay? Because I was.
But I am a citizen, of course.
So you took the oath and everything.
No, because I was too young. My parents took the oath.
Your parents did it. Okay, I'm like, but wait a minute, hold on. So you can't run for president.
That's correct. No, I cannot.
Got it. That's what I was like. I think what he's saying is,
Yeah.
whew, okay, unlike Cenk Uygur, because like, dude, you weren't even born in the United States. What are you doing? Oh my gosh.
Well, I don't know if he ever ended up doing that lawsuit, but if he did, I mean, I have no interest in ever running for that position. But yeah,
I feel like if I was gonna run, like if I was gonna do it, I'm just going right for the top. I'm not gonna waste my time with anything. Like, why am I gonna run for city council when my ambitions are this? Like, man, I don't wanna. But this is what I mean, you would have to be. You have to be a little bit unstable to say, yep, I want my life to be threatened. Yep,
right.
every single day.
Well, yeah. I mean, we're yeah. Like I said, I mean, where it's at now is the question has come up like, what about naturalized citizens? And they haven't said like, oh yeah, we're trying to deport them too, but they certainly haven't ruled it out, which is what the natural thing to do if you're not going to do that. So
Heck, they're trying to jail people I was born here.
yeah,
And I still hear go back to Africa. I'm like, you realize Africa is not a country, it's a continent, right? You do know there's different countries in Africa. And like, okay, so if Trump deports me, exactly where he gonna send me? Because I could be Egyptian, I could be South African, I could be like where you.
Well, the country I was born in doesn't exist anymore, and I certainly don't want to go to Russia.
Oh,
I was born
well,
in the USSR.
Billy Joel song.
Mm-hmm.
That's how
Mm-hmm.
old I am. Oh my gosh, I'm so old. Why am I old? I'm not really old, but dang gone, you just made me. I'm like, I bet he was born in the 80s.
I know that song. We all know that song. It's okay.
But here's the other thing I want to talk about, and the last thing, because I've kept you way past time, and I'm like, I'm trying not to take up all your time.
Okay, we're having fun here.
When you think about people say, political parties, they have people in them. And somebody is bound to act a dang near fool. Mm-hmm. Somebody somewhere is going to act a fool. How do you get Joe Public or Jane Public to say, you know what? Now, I may not want to help in organizing a party, but I'll vote for one of your candidates.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a little bit at a time. Like I said, I don't think it's possible almost to convince anyone of anything. And especially if you go into it as a debate. Like if you're debating someone, it's almost a guarantee that it's just they're digging further into their entrenched position. I think you have to come with a lot of empathy, a lot of listen to their problems. Why do they believe the things that they believe? And see where there's some loose threads that you can pull on. Because once you start questioning this like narrative that you've built up around the world, it raises all kinds of questions. Anything becomes possible. So, how do we do it en masse? That's a good question. I don't know. I only know how to try to do it a person at a time. And through the process of trying to do it a person at a time, you get better and better. And, hopefully it amounts to something. But, yeah.
And here's what of course, I have this big, huge idea, because I always have ideas, but I've never actually, if I executed half of what goes through my mind, I would be like unstoppable. But when I think about politics, we always say this thing, and it's very true. The strength of political moves lies at the local level. It's rarely lies at the federal level. And I think that's something that if I'm being 100% honest, I want us to think about, because there's so many seats out there. I think I was reading some studies said like 70, like maybe up to 70% of seats nationwide Nobody ran for it.
Mm.
Just they sat empty. It may not be 70, but it's a good number. I had to look at the Ballotpedia survey
Mhm.
one more time to just look it up. But I was like, they're just sitting there, not doing anything. Because I'm always like, well, if you build locally, if you do that first, then you can build nationally.
Yeah, I think that's right. Um, and I mean, the worst thing you can do is nothing, and even worse than nothing is to be completely fatalistic about the people that are trying to do something. Then you're being counterproductive. So that's what I advise people: get in the game, do what you can, like see what there is to do. There's a million different ways that you can fight this fight. I invite you to come fight the way we're doing it, but there's lots of other ways to do it. Just just do it. Nike.
Yeah,
Sorry.
boy, I'm like, you gonna do Nike? Oh my
I didn't mean
gosh.
to do that. I didn't mean to do
I
that.
know. I'm like, and I know you didn't. You weren't in the hands off. I'm trying to find somebody that was at the hands off protest because I wasn't in it, um, at
Study
all.
history of politics. Yeah, absolutely.
Um, but I forgot my dang on question. Because I know I wanted to ask one more question.
About the hands off.
Yes, but
Yeah.
yeah, there were several reasons I didn't go. Because I kept wondering to myself, and this is all protest. This is not just hands off. One, I thought this is so democratic. Like I'm looking at all the groups involved. I'm like, I'm giving them that side eye thing. I want more organic things. And when you hit the term general strike,
Hmm.
that's something I have been for so long. I mean, I've heard talks about a general strike for at least 10 years,
Yeah.
at least. And nothing seems to come out of it.
Yeah, but I had never heard the president of the UAW call for one. Like that is a step, and the question is, will anyone listen? And also, like now he's, you know, lightly supportive of the tariff stuff. So it's all, there's no perfect allies sometimes, but
Well, no, I
yeah,
think
general strike is one way. General strike is an exciting prospect.
yeah, and I think the strikes that are taking place, like the economic strikes, like the boycotts, those are
Hmm.
very effective because I
Hmm.
believe if you hit them in the pocketbook, that speaks more volumes than me out in the street. Now, I'm not saying don't go protest in the streets because sometimes we need that collective voice to say, "Hey, we're here, and you're not gonna get rid of us. You might as well get used to us because we're gonna be right here at the end of the day." But then it's time to start saying, "Okay, take it a step further." And one of the discussions that I'm going to try to do with some of the steering club, I keep saying club, steering committee members, not club, steering committee members, is to have this discussion about what does it actually mean to organize.
Yeah.
Because I don't, it's like, I don't think I even understand it.
Uh, I'm learning. We're all learning. You learn by doing. That's the thing. There are mentors. There are people that have been organizing for a long time in this movement. I'm learning a lot from them. But and as far as the protests, like yeah, the thing that broke the straw that broke the camel's back was Gaza. But really, like I started, there had been people in my life that have been trying to push me left, like back in 2017, 2018, left past Bernie, which is where I was. And I was resistant to that. And I was living in Los Angeles. I lived in Los Angeles for like 10 years. And I was there like when the George Floyd protest went down, living in downtown LA. And I had a front row seat to the police violence is uh, that is brought upon people that do actual disruption. That's why I won't even use the word protests. Like it was disruption, and it was every night for weeks. Massive police presence, millions of dollars spent, I'm sure, on the police, tons of overtime, and for what? To stop people that were, you know, protesting on behalf of justice. So yeah, and then later that year, I was in San Francisco and I went to the Women's March, and it was like everyone had just taken a half day off from work and was very happy-go-lucky. So, there are differences in protests, and I think the hands-off is much closer to that. Let's do it on a weekend, and I'll, get. Yeah, I won't go too far with it, but yeah.
I think we both had the same concerns. It's like, okay, so what you're going to do tomorrow? Like, what is it that you're going to do tomorrow that you didn't do today? I'm always like, tell people, I think most people feel as though they want to be told what to do. And I say it in this way. When you have demands or things that you're asking people for, you want to run for office or selling a product or whatever it is you're doing, you give them what you want them to do, whether that's like, share, subscribe, and comment on this podcast. I'm telling the audience, hey, I want you to do this, and this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm making an ask. And one of the things I want the Justice for All Party to do is to make an ask. Right? Ask people to do something.
Yeah, and I'm there with you. Like, it is frustrating how long it's taking us to get to the point where we can start talking about the things that we want to do, because that is the job of ultimately the National Committee to work on the platform, and we're not there yet. We're getting there. So I'm, being patient, but your voice of pushing us every week, like,
I do it every week. I'm like, yep. I'm gonna say, guess what Tracy's gonna say? Because and that's another. I have no patience, none. I have zero patience. I want Medicare for all now. I'm tired of writing letters to legislators. I'm tired of showing up at rallies. I'm tired. No, I want it now. Give it to me now, or I come take it. That's just where I'm at. I'm at the point where I'm saying, okay, you don't want to legislate it? I'll sit down and won't do anything, and let's just see how well that works out for you. Mm. That's the point where I'm at. Mm. And that's why I'm so for a general strike. We make demands. It's like, hey, you give us this, and this, and then maybe we could talk. And I keep saying, hey, 2026 is coming, and because what I don't want to happen is what happens to a lot of third-party candidates. We get in there with 6 months in the race to go, and then sign us in. No. That's what I don't want to happen.
Right. And I mean, we experienced how hard it was kind of bootstrapping on the run, trying to run a presidential campaign. And that's why we're doing what we're doing now. And we got to keep up the urgency.
100%. And of course, it would help if I had patience, but I don't. But I'm just like, it's coming. It's right here. I'm telling you, it's right here. And 2028 is not, it's not like, what? It's, what, 3 years away?
Yep.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah, what? Time does not stand still. And when I ask this question, and I will ask the question that I asked on my old podcast, when is the right time for people to get involved in third-party politics? It's now. Now is always the time.
It's yesterday, but if you didn't do it yesterday, do it now.
Yeah, because the future. I love this comment. Okay, Nelson, please make it a part of the agenda to remove the FICA cap to improve Social Security. Well, Nelson, what we're going to ask you to do is watch my video on modern monetary theory with Steve Gromheim. That's probably one of the best interviews I've ever done. I've learned so incredibly much, and we literally talked about what you're addressing.
That was a fascinating interview.
I was just like, oh, really?
I still need to look more into that. I was, very, very interesting. I want to do more reading.
Exactly. I just started on the journey. I'm like, well, I think I know what it means, but I'm not 100%. Just fascinating. But Nelson, in theory, I agree with you. Absolutely. But I want, and I've asked every guest this to talk about, if you could say, and remember the number I'm going to say, if you could say one thing, just one thing, to Joe Public or Jane Public about the Justice for All Party, what is it that you would say and why?
I would say we're here for you. I guess I would say we're here for the people. Like, the other parties are here for the lobbyists. The other parties are here for special interests, for foreign interests occasionally for some reason, certainly to make their money. We're the party that is down here, like at the grassroots level, talking to people. And again, we're one of the parties. Nothing bad about the other parties, but yeah, we're here for the people. Let's have a conversation. Let's talk about the things that are bothering you, and see what we can agree on. And I love what Paris says all the time, that we can disagree without being disagreeable. That's a good one as well.
Absolutely. That is absolutely the case. Everybody, I want to thank everybody. This is like I have never not enjoyed doing the Justices Here podcast. Every guest I've had on, I've always said, hey, you can always come back. And of course, that Yasa extends to you also. We've had a great time this evening. Please share this episode. Share them all. There's, like I said, I have a list of 7 people who I've emailed every week and I said, hey, share this episode. And that goes to everybody watching. Share it on your Twitter feed or at whatever it is they call themselves now. I'm personally Blue Sky because I don't bother with Twitter because I feel like it's just racism now, but that's just me. But you can share it to Instagram, Facebook, definitely. If you have Facebook, you can definitely share this on Facebook. Remember to subscribe. Our goal is to get to 1,000. We were picking up a subscriber a week and we've kind of fell off in that. So ask everyone to share this episode, like this episode, comment on this episode. And remember, tomorrow at 6 o'clock, I have a big, super big announcement that's going to come off right at the beginning and the end of the show. I almost want to tell it now, but I'm going to make you wait because I want you to actually watch Tracy's weekend review. So we'll leave it at that. I'm going to take us down. Yasa, is there anything else that you want to say before I do our outro?
No, it's been a pleasure, and I would love to come back sometime. Absolutely.
Thank you very much, everybody. I will see you all tomorrow at 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Remember to visit justiceforall.us. That is justiceforall.us.